If you haven't seen the previous video in this series, follow the link on your screen or click the link in the description or pinned comment below. Jesus fucking Christ, why is this video over 27 minutes? I have shown time and again these videos have no business being this goddamn long, especially in the age of Gen Z TikTok brain. Why you insist on padding these damn things with frivolous nonsense that nearly no one laughs at anymore is beyond me, especially considering you have a person like me that makes you look silly for doing that specific thing. Always remember, the mark of wit is brevity.
The Discovery Channel.
Sinning Shark Week. By extension.
In case you confused it with Nowhere in Hollow Earth.
This cliche is contingent upon the audience knowing the location of a thing. You know, like if they flashed Los Angeles, California on the screen, as if we don't know where Los Angeles is. This gag doesn't work when the location we're talking about is almost completely fucking uncharted, my dude.
When did we stop delighting in watching incredible actions in real time? When did slow-mo become our drug of choice? This ruins the momentum of what was a fast-paced scene.
They probably still have a little Zack Snyder residue left over, but granted, I get what they are trying to do, and that is show off the CGI on Kong's face and whatnot. Not a sin on you, just thought I'd point that out. I'm also tired of frivolous slow motion.
Relegating Kong mostly to an environment where everything is as big as he is, so it completely f***s our chance to awe at his relative size.
This is almost exactly what the Critical Drinker said about this movie, and repeating anything that lunatic says is sin-worthy by itself. In any case, the Earth is kinda big. I know flat earthers struggle with this concept, but you're not one of them, so you should understand that Kong being anywhere on Earth where there are no humans will produce this effect. I mean, you only realize he's big because of buildings and whatnot.
Making the insides of your creatures guacamole colored to avoid getting an R rating and without stopping to consider I don't have a single tortilla chip anywhere in sight.
Haha, okay, but how is this sinful? Is movies doing what they can to be seen by the most amount of people a bad thing? Does this blood not being red compromise the film in any meaningful way? I'd argue it actually enhances the world-building aspect, showing the creatures here transmit oxygen in a different way than terrestrial creatures do. Wait, are these creatures also terrestrial? You know what I mean.
Is this movie saying that the centuries-old Kong has never had an infected tooth of some sort? Like, we wouldn't expect him to just yank this thing out and go about his day.
Given this creature's durability, it's safe to assume that this is probably his first time dealing with a cracked tooth, especially given his reaction to it. Also, Kong isn't centuries old. He's very likely only about 100 and some change, given his growth spurt from the 1970s, where he was considered a teen, to this movie's timeline, which is only 54 years from then.
Movie wants me to believe that this frog-like creature could make a sound that imitates a loud Kong roar and could be heard from great distances because in its world, evolution works by the survival of the most likely to emphasize the themes of loneliness and solitudist.
You're demonstrating that you don't understand evolution again, and this is probably one of the worst examples of it, considering being able to mimic a far scarier creature would be a distinct advantage in the game of survival. Like what? That's literally one of the best evolutionary traits and something we have studied quite extensively.
We believed that we were Earth's most dominant species.
200 million insects per every person in existence have entered the chat.
And they just got that ass banned because no insect is dominant on this planet. Almost every single one of them bitches up the moment you hit them with a little raid. Besides, you know what dominant means in this context, Jeremy. Stop playing dumb.
Every day he searches for a family that he'll never find.
You just said that you've only mapped 5% of Hollow Earth. You also said there's a lot of stuff we could still be wrong about. Yet, with confidence, you say Kong will never find other Kongs?
You are answering yourself. You literally repeat that she says she might be wrong about the things she says. Hell, the events of the movie itself refutes her line. And you think you're sharing breaking news? Why?
At the rate these monsters smash cities, the displacement of people to new homes must be causing all sorts of upheaval around the... Oh? No upheaval? Lex Luthor just comes in and rebuilds everything in a week?
Just because a movie isn't showing these events on screen does not mean things aren't happening in the background. This movie isn't about those events, nor is it interested in exploring that concept, so we aren't shown. But there are clues. Why do you think they're showing these fights in a different city every time? No, seriously, think about that.
Also, I'm not entirely sure why these monsters keep smashing cities anyway. What's the end game? And don't they know by now that Godzilla is coming to wreck their shit if they try to do this?
Once again, Jeremy is using information he has on the other side of the fourth wall to criticize characters that do not have this information because they are characters in a movie. The fact that these creatures challenge Godzilla means most of them likely don't know who he is or what he's capable of. I mean, didn't we get exactly that with the previous film where Kong, a creature who's been around for a long time, never encountered Godzilla and proceeded to get pinned by him? Why didn't you question this with Kong in the last movie's video, Jer? Is it because you watch movies like a child?
Wait! Time!
Hey guys, the Birdman here. I realized while editing this video that some of you may not understand what Birdman means when he says that Jeremy watches movies like a child. I mean, I have been getting comments to that effect, so here's the juice. When children watch a movie, they don't understand the barrier between them and characters in a film. They believe that because they saw something on screen, that everyone else in the film or show also now has that information. Since we know Godzilla is powerful, every other creature should know too, in other words. So that's what Birdman means when he says that Jeremy watches movies like a child. All right, back to editing for me.
Guys, I realize we've known the name of this for over a year, but I still can't bring myself to say it. So this movie will forever and always be Godzilla Twitter Kong to me.
Acknowledging the childlike fantasies of Elon Musk and allowing them to ruin the 24th letter.
In both Kong Skull Island and Godzilla King of the Monsters, we were treated to the thrill of U.S. politicians threatening the funding of Monarch. Now that the world knows there's a whole new frontier right underneath their feet, how did all the world's governments decide, yes, we will allow Monarch to simply observe this new habitat, and we will not try to mine it for our own selfish gains whatsoever?
It could be the fact that A, it's incredibly difficult to even reach Hollow Earth, which is only accessible by specific points on Earth through gravity inversions, and B, it's filled with incredibly dangerous giant creatures that are periodically coming to the surface and are so strong they take Godzilla to kill? Yes, Jim. Let's send human crews on an incredibly perilous journey to an uncharted land with 300-foot-tall predatory spiders to mine... Well, we don't know what's down there, but send the crews, damn it!
There's no way Gia did all of this in the 30 seconds since she went under. I don't even care if she was under some sort of speed spell. Shading these 3 giant peaks in the middle would have been a 5-minute process itself, and would have involved sharpening the pencil at least a few times.
Cool. But, who the hell is Gia?
Leaving your Monarch-branded Kong spy tablet in the vehicle with no security locks.
I'm willing to grant you the callousness of leaving the tablet somewhere a student could grab it, but you're acting as if it's a secret that King Kong exists. What the hell do you mean, spy? This shit is all over the news.
This lap is sponsored by Volkswagen.
You thought that by giving them 10 cents yourself that you wouldn't receive 10 from me, but you underestimated my willingness to be petty and double up for trying to undercut my running gag. And they say you don't watch my videos.
For centuries, the Iwi tribe were the guardians of Skull Island.
I guess you could have considered them guardians, but against what? King Kong did most of the guarding, and the island was surrounded by a storm that prevented people from visiting it until modern-day satellite images found a narrow weakness in the storm's defense.
Jeremy, that's not the definition of guardian that they're using. They're using it in the same context as a legal guardian, such as a parent. You know, a person that tends to a location.
In case you confused it with mime, holy shit, that giant sun is going to kill us all!
Welcome to South Florida, where if the politics and mass shooters don't kill you, global warming will. And don't think I missed the correct usage of your location gag, which of course nullifies the earlier one.
Today's podcast is brought to you by...
Podcaster plays a central role in the plot because of their specialized knowledge and the fact that podcasters are the new computer nerds in 2020 movies cliche.
Is this really that, though? I mean, they're just following the same plot thread from the last film, where this character was specifically recruited because of his podcast. I mean, I'd get the sin if the previous movie didn't have this, but it does, so I don't.
The absolute bullshit that is these monitor readings. I sure am glad she's checking out how the little green dots are arranged with the resistors and capacitors and how the heat sinks are impacting the overflows. She's got a 1002-50T in the C11 and a criterion rating of 83 on both sides, so it must be go time.
Anti-intellectualism on display, y'all.
According to this display, Kong is already 87% sedated, but the fancy graphical sedative indicators have only started emptying. If you're going to go all out on this app development and GUI design for menial, unforeseen dental tasks, at least get it right.
If you ask me, it simply appears they brought more than enough sedative. You know, because he's a giant freaking monster that could wild out at any moment and they might need more to knock him out just in case. Isn't this exactly what they did in the previous movie?
Hey, use a light touch on the sedatives. He's our escort. We can't have him comatose when we reach Hollow Earth.
You go and become the weirdest vet in the world.
Yeah, it's basically me and Dr. Dolittle, except my animals are bigger.
He's a vet for Titans, which sounds completely made up for this very movie because who the hell else is he treating? The only Titans who emerge from the surface are assholes trying to destroy cities. And there are no more Titans in Monarch captivity after the events of King of the Monsters. The point is, Trapper's job and existence in this movie raises more questions than it answers.
You know, one of the responsibilities of vets is the study of animals, right? Meaning that even the dead ones have value and that they can be studied for weaknesses, pathogens, and preventative medicine. You know, like the creation of that sedative that you just complained about.
You feel like going for a ride?
Thought you'd never ask.
That's because she shouldn't have. And the yada-yadaing of how you end up on this team is some of the slickest bullshit this movie shits out of its bull.
I don't know, man. A Titan vet seems like a great member of a team that's going exploring a place with Titans, if only for the furthering of our animal knowledge.
As it will turn out, the mission needs Gia to tag along, but nobody knows that yet. And the mission is super dangerous, and Eileen lets her go anyway.
I think the reason she does is because of the dialogue you're showing on screen. Gia's visions and scribbles match up with the spikes that Paperboy described earlier. Heck, we already know she has a weird connection to Kong.
Look, this could be dangerous.
That's why I casually asked my college boyfriend to come and let my young daughter guilt trip me into joining. But you? Do you think just because of all the characters in the movie that you're the one with the most direct insight into the exact things we might be dealing with down there that I'm just going to let you waltz on board? Well, mister, you've got another think coming.
Jeremy yells at the screen cliche. Whoa, is that the word think? Did you make a typo and read that typo aloud?
I still don't know how sunlight comes down here to Hollow Earth. Maybe they mentioned it at one time, but that just goes to show even if the movie mentions something, do you really expect me to remember it for later? You're trusting me to remember that?
I don't think we trust you with the bologna sandwich at this point.
How far to the outpost?
100 clicks.
Thinking I won't care about you using a non-American measuring system if you call it something badass like clicks. Well, it is badass, but I had to do the math just to translate that to about 62 miles, and I f***ing hate math and translating things.
America.
Atmospheric radiation levels are dropping. He's absorbing it.
Okay, he's charging for something.
Damn it, movie. I just saw him sucking off the nuclear plant. You don't have to hold my hand with the clunky verbalization of the situation. I'd almost forgive you if it weren't for 30 seconds later.
Godzilla consumed a huge amount of radiation. He is clearly preparing for something.
When you do the same damn thing again. Why did you need to break away from the drones pointlessly attacking the giant monster if you were just going to expositionally fill in the stupider members of the audience 30 seconds later anyway?
Okay, but characters in a different location needed to convey that information to other characters in a different location. I get what you're saying, but what you're saying also implies that dialogue only serves to inform the audience, which forgets that characters also need information relayed to them in the Watsonian framework.
Is there any reason why these planes need to continue flying directly at Godzilla after firing missiles at him?
He says while showing a drone climbing immediately after firing its payload.
Using a child as a weapon non-metaphorically.
Right. What? Why aren't all the sins gone?
Scene does not contain these two smashing barrels or riding in minecarts.
Jeremy makes a pop culture reference.
The modern Kongzilla movies like to dress up all sciencey and shit, but at their naked core, they are now just all mystical powers, intuition, and fantasy porn. When Kong died in the original, it meant something. He didn't have super healing magical land powers.
He didn't? Then what the hell is he doing to Godzilla here? Shocking him with static electricity? What, he hump a balloon or something?
Only female mosquitoes drink blood.
He says in a place no human has ever been to with zero context as to what blood-borne diseases he might be subjecting himself to.
Isn't it already too late, though? The mosquito already landed and began drinking. Whatever STD she's got, he's got. Word to Donald Trump and Stormy Daniels.
Brightness like this in a darkened auditorium is like the filmmakers waging war on the audience's dilated pupils.
Then it's a good thing human pupils can constrict in less than a second, huh?
This predator that can swim under the water undetected rises out of the water, giving itself away, and then waits 5 seconds for its prey to turn around before striking, just like they learned in Predator School.
Jeremy points out things on the screen cliche.
Movie basically says, hey, remember when King Kong was fighting that rad serpent that had the upper hand a minute ago? Yeah, you didn't need to see that fight. You knew he was going to win, so what's the point? From the time Tiamat appears to the time he's floating as chunks on the surface is 30 seconds. 30 seconds of a foggy underwater close-up nothingness of a fight, and look, if you don't have the budget to make it fun to watch, just leave it out of the script, okay?
I was going to agree with the previous sin, but then he immediately followed it up with this one and somehow doesn't get the irony. My hands are tied, you understand.
Here's all the Iwi leader needed to see. Gia running through the woods, Gia running through an open field, Gia looking up with childlike wonder, an Iwi woman cooking, a time-life group photo of the Iwi people, and a couple of shots of Eileen loving and hugging her. This is a great summary of Gia's life that contains absolutely no King Kongs or devastating hurricanes, and from these images, she's ready to say she's okay.
Pretty sure they were confirming that she's one of them, but then again, I'm kind of on the right side of the bell curve.
So wait, they send out this SOS. And then what?
I'll send an SOS to the world. I'll send an SOS to the world. I hope that someone gets my. I hope that someone gets my. I hope that someone gets my message in a bottle, yeah.
Jeremy sings in a video cliche.
Convenient skeleton bridges.
The real sin is the size of that skeleton. Like, think about it for a second. Kong is about as tall as a skyscraper, and yet this thing makes him look like a gummy bear.
Also, the image here is of Godzilla letting out a mighty roar while huge rocks fall from the sky down on the apes. Like, this answers the question of how Godzilla terraformed a whole section of Hollow Earth to build a prison.
It's actually showing Godzilla using his atomic breath to laser rock, which presumably buried them. The previous film showed him using that ability to bore a hole to the center of the Earth, so this isn't that far-fetched. I mean, it is, but it's not.
Their false king remains obsessed with reaching the surface.
The beginning of the movie showed us Kong leading these demonic boars into a giant falling boulder trap, which we later see causes a sinkhole that opens into this subterranean realm where Kong finds his cousins. This is what I've been led to believe leads the evil ape king to take his giant ice lizard to the main part of Hollow Earth, where it destroys the monarch outpost and kills all the people there. But how did the evil ape get up to Hollow Earth with his icy dinosaur? When Kong discovers the sinkhole is a giant chasm. How the f*** did Dr. Lizard Freeze get up here? And once they got to Hollow Earth and smashed it up, they just went back to the prison place? And if they're looking for portals, why can't they find them? Those portals can't only be in the hidden Iwi city, right?
The Gish Gallop is off the charts. The Scar King reached Hollow Earth the same way Kong got to their lair. Climbing. You forget you're talking about ape-like beings with the strength and ability to climb things. And we're shown those portals exist where they do due to the crystals you were oohing and eyeing about earlier.
Oh, mystical glowy rocks that mean stuff and things. Pretty. King Dong measuring contest.
Jeremy says boner. Also, I would have removed Ascend here. In this bombastic popcorn flick, the filmmakers managed to convey these creatures' thoughts without having them speak a single word. I feel like you don't give this film credit where it's due, and in this case, it's due.
We will never know exactly why this pain-dealing remote control crystal works, but damn it, the movie needs our villain to have an obedient ice titan. So control it, it shall.
Seriously? You seriously need to know the physics of the fictional dragon that can spew so much ice it causes an ice age and how it's controlled by one of these crystals? Really? Because I feel like that train left the station back when Godzilla shot lasers from its mouth.
The Iwi believe that at the end of the world, one of their own will return, an awakened Mothra, defender of the Iwi and ancient ally of Godzilla.
In a blink and you'll miss it, part of the credits from Godzilla King of the Monsters, there's an article about a giant egg that might be a second Mothra, because, you know, Mothra died at the end of that movie. So apparently she laid that egg in China before dying, so good for her. Where I have a lot of issues with this revelation is this movie pretending like the other Mothra never existed, that this is the first time we're ever going to see Mothra, and nobody even once refers to it. Not even the movie's Monsterverse nerd Bernie.
Are you forgetting this is previous films Team Kong with one guy from Team Godzilla? They were not around in Godzilla King of the Monsters when Mothra popped out and showed Nick. That's the wrong script. But yeah, these guys were not there, so they don't know about the previous Mothra who died during those events. Bernie started out as a conspiracy theorist in a subsequent film where his goal was to prove Monarch were covering these things up. Dude, you sinned both those movies.
And, I'm sorry, defender of the Iwi? Since when? We've been told that Mothra has a symbiotic relationship with Godzilla, who we were told in this movie was a protector of nature. We were also told that King Kong was a protector of humanity, which we saw in Kong Skull Island with these very Iwi. So if Mothra was a defender of the Iwi, wouldn't it make way more sense for her to have a symbiotic relationship with Kong?
You're not understanding how Mothra works. Mothra is a single entity that lays an egg and rebirths herself with all her memories in that egg when she apparently dies. She's an ancient entity entity that formed a relationship with this Iwi group, which is older than the offshoot on Skull Island. Mothra would have no reason to protect Skull Island nor interact with the Kongs there, being that she wouldn't have known about the Iwi on that island. If anything, she'd be an enemy of the Kongs given their current relationship with the Hollow Earth Iwi group, and since Godzilla is in conflict with them, the enemy of my enemy is my friend.
After seeing all these traps that Kong has spread all over Hollow Earth, I'm beginning to think that he spent more time on that than looking for other apes like him.
Given the fact that nearly everything here has tried to kill him, I'd say that was time well spent.
Movie dutifully reminds us every 20 minutes that Godzilla is in the movie and charging up for the final fight like some sort of Titan Tesla.
I feel like since Godzilla got the unofficial win in the last movie, which I still contend was a tie, the filmmakers are showing some love to King Kong by giving him more plot time. And if you got a problem with me saying it was a tie, oh well. The first fight on the water was a complete handicap match. Kong was heavily sedated and woke up in the middle of the ocean against an aquatic creature. They did everything in their power to give that round to Godzilla, the biased bastards.
You know he's powerful now because he's pink, like a Barbie or a Barbzilla. Throw Jane Fonda in the mix and you've got a Barberzilla.
I don't know. The pink scales kind of makes it hot.
Project Powerhouse.
You can't be serious.
Oh, he's serious. There was a top secret project to provide Kong with a prototype mechanical arm he didn't really need that was basically finished but got shut down and then left down in Hollow Earth instead of bringing it back up top to put in a storage facility with Indy's Ark. And it's still operational, saints be praised!
Why the hell would they bring it back to the surface when Kong lives in Hollow Earth and doesn't need it? Did you not see Kong get pinned in the previous film? This was just in case Godzilla got off his rocker. You know that lizard can shoot radiation from his belly, right?
It's stored in the armory at Outpost 1.
Luckily, Shimo didn't destroy the ship that will be required to transport this prototype when he crushed Outpost 1 earlier in the movie.
Couple things. Shimo's pronouns are she, her. Also, that footage was of Scar King, not Shimo. I guess you didn't catch the clearly ape-like feet in this very slow footage that's easy to see.
Also, not content to crib from Jurassic Park, Indiana Jones, Lord of the Rings, and Planet of the Apes, the movie decides to throw some Transformers Beast Wars into the mix just for fun.
I don't know. The yellow Tonka truck arm kind of makes it hot.
With this yellow Transformer arm grabbing one of the pyramids, I'm getting strong directly below the enemy scrotum vibes.
Jeremy, I don't think the scrotum is where the arm is.
The pink Power Rangezilla will now jump into the Mediterranean Sea from Gibraltar because he had a yelling match with Kong, who is over 2,100 miles away in Cairo. Since sound travels at just over 700 miles per hour, it would have taken those roars about 3 hours to get to the other side of the Mediterranean Sea. And don't give me that, they didn't hear each other, they just felt each other's shit. The movie knew what it was implying.
You're on the right track, just came to the wrong conclusion. The sin here is for lazy editing, not that they're implying they can hear each other. We know Godzilla can sense other titans from very far away. This has been established in multiple movies at this point. Again, this is just bad editing.
Godzilla has now made the 2,100-mile trip to Cairo in just over 3 minutes of movie time, clocking in at about 42,000 miles per hour. This is just slightly faster than the fastest animal recorded, the sailfish, who has achieved speeds of 68 miles per hour.
As I've explained in many videos at this point, Jeremy thinks real time is the same as movie time. Hence his confusion in the Back to the Future video Future Birdman showed me.
Seeing Gia and Mothra here just warms my heart as they talk sense into Godzilla. If only they could have summoned Mothra before Kong came up here, then we wouldn't have needed that inconsequential fight at all.
Well, heck, man, not even Kong thought Godzilla would be an ornery asshole and immediately attack him for no reason. Last time they saw each other, they were on good terms after Kong saved Godzilla from getting his ass whipped by Mechagodzilla.
Yes! She's protecting the portals!
First off, that ape was clearly headed towards the heave, so I don't know where you're getting that. Second off, I thought the temporary anti-gravity shit was protecting the portals right now. But I'm having trouble figuring out all the bullshit, so maybe Mothra is confused too.
You're removing the scene from its context. We already know the Scar King's minions are headed for the portals. That one attacks the heave doesn't negate that fact. We are then shown Mothra skeeting on other Kong tits, so why is this sin?
As per usual, Jesus does nothing while the world turns into an absolute garbage fire.
Right? I mean, where was he when Apollo turned water into grapefruit juice and when the serpent convinced Mary to look back on Sodom? I mean, granted, we used her to season our fried chicken after the fact, but where was Jeebus then,
Godzilla is nice and pissed off. Looks like a finishing move, but it is easily dodged, and we see the miss 3 more times. Seriously, what was the goddamn point of the superpowered Zilla?
Did we or did we not get an entire scene of glyphs explaining to us that Godzilla was able to single-handedly take on the Kongs? By the process of elimination, you should understand that he went Super Saiyan Rose to face Shimo, a titan that is more powerful than him at base level. Don't you watch Dragon Ball?
Rose. そう。スーパーサイヤ人ロゼ。